Welcome listeners, it's a lovely Friday and that means it's practically the weekend. In Australia, it's absolutely boiling right now. So, I have an iced tea in hand, ready to get myself chilled and thoroughly creeped out. And speaking of creeped out, I have a true story by Ashleigh. I have refrained from using her last name to maintain her privacy. In fact, this might be the first true freaky story from Australia, just judging by the lingo that Ashleigh's used. So I'm super stoked. And let me just say, this first one, talk about setting the bar high. Goodness. This story is definitely not for young ears. I repeat, not for young ears. It covers physical abuse and has plenty of swearing. So if you have any little ears around you, please skip this episode, as much as it pains me to say that. But before we dive into this terrifying story, it's time for one of my favorite parts of my week, my shoutouts. This is my chance to talk straight to you fans that support me, and I really love it. For those of you who want to skip the shoutouts, please hop to 4 minutes 50. I know it's a long time to skip, but I have a lot of fans to thank, and I love them to bits. So if you do want to hop right into the story, that's the place to start. Thanks. Okay, let's go. Troy Shaw, mate, as always, thank you for your support, your listens and keen ears. Those skip spotting skills help keep me on track. Nah, just messing with you on the last one, Troy. Seriously, thank you for your support, mate. Jeremy Davis 41. Holy moly, just like I own cows, I have another fantastic fan who is just gunning through my episodes. Thank you so much, Jeremy Davis 41, for listening. I'm always blown away when fans do that. Chris Leggett, another cyborg, just blasting through my episodes. Mate, thank you so much for listening. It's brilliant. I own cows. Mate, I love your hilarious comments, support for this channel and charm. Thank you for your support. Also, in regards to your iTunes comment about leaving me a review, I think you're correct when you said that your review may have been flagged. Apple apparently doesn't approve of sexy Aussie who gets all the ladies as an appropriate review. You crack me up, mate. Cheers. Sin. Thank you, Yokai Queen, for swinging by and yet again blasting through those episodes. Seriously awesome, and thanks. Kyle Brandt, mate, thank you so much for not only your stories, but your brilliant comments and compliments. Talk about illuminating my day. And I hope you get that job you're hunting for, mate, and I look forward to more of your stories too. Jace York, as always, a brilliant supporter and contributor. Thank you so much, Jace, for your support and brilliance regarding the Telltale series. This week coming, I'll make sure to get to your own personal stories about your dog, as well as the Black-Eyed Kids. Cheers, mate. Star Eve 2099. What can I say about this fan that won't have me rambling? Not only do they put a bounce in my step every day with lovely comments, but they provide me some thought-provoking feedback, as well as having keen skip-spotting skills like Troy Shaw herself. Couldn't resist another fake skip, but really, you're a gem, mate. Thank you so much for your support. The Chrome Spy. Thank you so much for your support, lovely comments, and liking spree that I came back to on all my episodes. My jaw dropped when I came back to my SoundCloud notification wall with loads and loads of episode likes. Just brilliant. Thanks, mate. And lastly, Paul Grayling. Thank you so much, mate, for your reposts, support, likes, and listens to this channel, mate. Just epic. Thank you. And before I finish off on the shoutouts, I want to thank some recent followers. Smack Fly, On Kiss, New Sanity, Chris Leggett, Little Zaza, The Chrome Spy, Freaky Fandoms, Jeremy Davis 41, Wedding Photo Hangover, Akasha Mitra, Best Sound, and lastly, The O'Reilly Factor. Now, I would go into YouTube shoutouts, but I'll do those next week because, well, that would double this episode's length, okay? But I promise you, I will do shoutouts for YouTubers next week. My promise. Okay, Telltellers, turn the lights off, the sound up, and get ready for something terrifying. Okay, A little backstory. I had met him at his parents' wedding when I was about 16. We hit it off, made out and all the stupid little things kids do at 16. Found out he had a girlfriend. We didn't really speak much after that, but we met up a couple of times after that and just kissed and little things like that. He was my birthday sex on my 21st last year. So tonight, he showed up unannounced, out of nowhere, and immediately started asking if I wanted to fuck. I'm not stupid, nor do I pretend to be some kind of lady, so I already knew exactly what he was here for before he even opened his mouth. I decided I was down, so I jumped in the shower to shave everything, while he went to the bottle-o, Aussie slang for liquor store, to get some more drinks. Keep in mind, he was already a bit drunk when he showed up, and I could taste rum and coke when he kissed me, just before I went to have a shower. He came back with a 6-pack of rum and cokes, and in the span of about an hour, he finished them all. During that time, we had also knocked boots. He decided he wanted more booze, so he went to the tavern to buy a bottle. He brought back a bottle of Jim Beam bourbon and a large bottle of coke. By the end of the night, he had drunk almost the entire thing. During then, he got more and more drunk, and things started to get weird. He started babbling nonsense to himself, calling me Lauren, Ivy, and a couple of other names, none of which were mine. I was obviously annoyed. He wasn't sleeping, he wasn't passing out. I had an appointment to get to the next day, but he just wouldn't stop fucking going between trying to fuck me and calling me a cunt and telling me to go fuck myself. He'd also become super affectionate, creepy affectionate. He had already asked me out earlier tonight, but both times I said no, because relationships aren't my thing. But by now, about 12 midnight, he had started telling me he wanted to marry me over and over again, and started asking me if I wanted to be more than fuck buddies. That was when I started getting nervous. By 2 a.m., he had already put out one cigarette on his arm, and begged me to burn him with various things, talked more and more about trying to kill himself 3 months beforehand and how he died for 10 minutes, and they brought him back. The only reason I believed him was because he had a clear mark around his neck from the noose, and a tracheotomy scar on his throat. By 3 a.m. he asked me, with complete sincerity and seriousness, if I would want to watch him shoot himself in the head and see his brain go all the way to the neighbors. This was when I started getting scared. He went outside onto the patio and kept drinking, when I heard him ask through my bedroom window, something that sounded like, "Have you ever heard what it sounds like when someone tries to breathe with their throat slit?" I was terrified. I didn't want to try and make him leave because I was scared he might get physical. Keep in mind, these were only the things I could actually understand. He was almost constantly babbling things that I couldn't make out. He came back inside and told me, "Your boyfriend was cold outside, and you don't even care." Again, I had refused every offer to be more than just friends with benefits, so I have no idea why he thought he was my boyfriend. He drank some more. Everything is a total blur after that, up until the moment he raised his arm and swung at me. I reached my arm up in more than enough time to block him, but feeling the impact of that hit on my arm, realizing that he intended that amount of force to meet my face, sent me over the edge. I told him that it was time for him to leave. I have put up with a hell of a lot of your shit tonight, but attempting to hit me is something that I will never, ever tolerate. Collect your things now and go, or I will call the police to come and collect you. I was on the verge of tears. I was so terrified and so angry. I was about 55% sure he was going to try and kill me, but he just agreed and started slowly getting everything together and putting on his clothes. After about an hour of him getting his things together and getting dressed and undressed and dressed again and again, he finally turned around and refused to leave. I grabbed him by his face and screamed at him to leave my fucking house right that second, or I was going to call the police and they would collect him. He refused and started saying some creepy shit again. So I got up and called the cops. He came and sat right next to me in the kitchen and strangely agreed with everything I said, loudly enough for the dispatcher to hear. I walked towards the front door, opened it, and told him to leave. He refused again and grabbed my fucking arm and squeezed, trying to say something to me. Luckily, he was drunk out of his mind. I shoved him out the door as hard as I could and told him that if he ever came back, I would fucking kill him. I then immediately woke up my mum, then ran around, closing and locking everything. I then checked my little brother and sister. They were both huddled in my sister's room on the bed. I told Lily to make sure her window was shut and that no matter what they hear, they are not to open the door to anyone or come out under any circumstances. So, I was talking to Mum and bursting into tears, telling her everything that had happened, when he started trying to pry the sliding glass door open, threatening that if we don't open the door, he would smash it. I went into the kitchen and called the police again to let them know exactly what's going on. They said the cops were almost there. Then, not 2 minutes later, he started actually bashing against the glass. Mum was screaming and telling him to stop. He was trying to tell her that his baby daughter was in our house and he needed to feed her. He had also started consistently calling me Lauren. He was clearly extremely delusional and that scared me even more. I called the cops back again to tell them that he's actually trying to break in, and that's when he started trying to shatter the door. My mum screamed at me, and I screamed to the cops on the phone, "He's breaking in!" while holding a small kitchen knife, the only one I could immediately reach, and preparing myself for the moment when I would actually have to take this man's life, while also hearing the kids screaming their hearts out in Lily's bedroom. The dispatcher said that the cops are at the front of my house. I told her to tell them to come through the side gate onto the patio. I had never been so fucking happy to see flashlight beams in my life. As they arrested him, he put up a hell of a struggle. They wrestled him through the side of the house, out the gate and into the cop car. The female cop came to my door and started asking me questions, but didn't get very far because he started trying to burst out the window of the cop car, and so they had to get a move on. She called me about an hour later, and then when I found out that not only had he assaulted the male officer, but he had also sexually assaulted the female officer by grabbing her vagina. The call brought me a lot of relief, and a condition of his bail was set that he couldn't set foot anywhere near me or my house, and that we would need to come in sometime to give full statements. And that's it. It is now 6:49 AM, about an hour and a half after they took him away. I don't think I'll be going to the appointment I was supposed to attend today. My goodness, Ashleigh. Thank you so much for sharing this intense story. The fact that this actually happened is just mind-boggling. Again, thank you for sharing this personal story, and I really appreciate you getting this to me so quickly. Nothing scarier than people rambling insanity whilst drunk and getting violent. Such a terrible combination. But I'm so glad to hear that you're okay, despite the trauma you experienced. If you have any follow-up to this story, Ashleigh, you're welcome to contact me as you did before via email. And on that, if any of you lovely listeners have true scary stories of your own, or any stories that you wish to share, don't hold back. I have some brilliant fan stories next week that I'll be sharing. Some more stories from the Night Guard, Jace York, and an SCP surprise. So stay with me then, folks. It's going to be great. And on that note, enjoy your weekend, mates, and keep safe. And yes, it is that time. This is the place where stories live, and you tale-tellers come to listen. Enjoy your day or night, and join me every weekday for our creepy tradition. And as always, till next time.